Hey guys, Modelling Weekly here. So, here it finally is, the wrap up to our Pacific group build that ended over 6 months ago. Honestly, it could be worse, right? Anyway, in this video we'll be taking a look at all the amazing entries that you guys submitted to us, including the non-competition lot, all the competition entries, as well as the winner of the community vote and the top 3 builds judged by Aidan, Aaron and myself. With almost 50 entries to work our way through this time around, we've got a lot to see, so let's not waste any more time and get straight into the non-competition builds. Enjoy! My submission, along with Aidan's and Aaron's submissions, all fell under the non-competition section, of course. So here's just a quick reflection on my Zero build, a 1/48th scale new release from Eduard. It was a fantastic build with very few flaws, and I had a great time building it. The full build video is of course on my channel page. Now let's have a look at Aaron's submissions. First up is his A6M20, which is also the newly released Eduard kit. He's done an absolutely fantastic job on this kit, and I respect the commitment to the more complicated paint scheme that he's decided to go for. I think it really came off and pairs very nicely with the subtle weathering techniques he is going on there. Very nice build overall. His next submission brought the scale down a notch to say the least. This is an absolutely tiny Kingfisher in 1/700th scale, painted up remarkably well despite the ridiculously small size. Looks right at home next to the pound coin in this shot. Nice work here yet again. Aaron's final submission to the group build was different to say the least. Going all out, he's made a sunken USS Arizona diorama, complete with resin, water and ripple effects. It's definitely a very challenging subject to recreate, especially with the struggles that resin poses, though in my opinion it's worked out very nicely. The slight coloration in the water really makes it pop, and overall this is a very nice display piece. Thanks very much Aaron for your submissions. Now on to Aidan's submissions. First up is his Tamiya KI61 Tony, which I believe was a bit of an awkward one due to the chrome-plated plastic featured in this particular boxing. Despite the pain caused by this, however, the result he produced was spot on. I'm a big fan of the metallic finish on this build, and that tricky mottled camo pattern definitely came out nicely. Some beautiful chipping on there too. Aidan's other entry to the group build was a good old-fashioned SPD Dauntless. Definitely a prerequisite for a World War II Pacific group build. I really like how this kit has turned out. The paint job is nicely done, and the subtle weathering really brings it alive without overdoing it at all. The addition of the open air brakes also makes it much more interesting to look at, so overall I'm a big fan of the result. With the group build moderators covered, let's move on to the general submissions. First off is a lovely little B25 built by Ashton H07 in Doolittle raid markings. Unfortunately there's only one photo of the build to show, though from what I can see it seems to be absolutely perfect. The paint job is nice and smooth, the canopy's beautifully masked, and overall very clean and tidy. Lovely build there. Coming up next is an RAF Corsair in 1/72 scale built by Hamish's Heinkels. This is definitely an interesting subject, and it's nice to see a Corsair in British markings included in the entries. Some nice chipping effects on this one as well. Thanks very much Hamish for submitting. Time for Zero number 3, this time in 72nd scale, built by James Blonde. Classic Zero markings and paint scheme are on display on this model, and I'm a big fan. The choice of colour is definitely a very good pick, and I like the fact that the extra effort was made by picking out the fabric control surfaces. Really nice one here. And Zero number 4, again in 1/72 scale, though this time in IJN dark green and built by JFK. I've always been a fan of the combination of this IJN shade along with the leading edge yellow sections, so I'm very happy to see this included in the GB. The folded wingtips are also a really nice touch, adding a bit of diversity. Many thanks for your submission. Another 1/72 scale Corsair coming up now, and this one's a stunner. Built by the previous GB winner, PPA Kuma, I absolutely love this build. The oil weathering featured here is superb, and the paintwork is flawless. Some nice colour modulation in the blues there too. Overall, an absolutely insane entry. Thank you so much for submitting. Now get ready for this guys, because we're about to hit Rawrex's non-competition submissions. He's really outdone himself this time around with 11 entries in this section. Yep, 11. So let's get straight into them. First up on screen now is his Dutch B17, and this is a super unique entry for sure, and I don't think I've seen anything like this before. Very nice one. Following the B17, we have a lovely little boomerang in 172 scale, another great submission there, and yet another pretty unique aircraft. Next is a lovely folded wing build of a Helldiver. I love the paint job on this one, some very nice blues there. The wing cross sections are also pretty nicely done. Right up after the Helldiver is a very unique looking Hawker Hurricane Mark 2B in 172 scale with custom decals. I'm loving the diversity of builds that Rorex has on offer. Returning to the Tonys now. Again in 72nd scale, Rorex has gone for a Revell kit of the aircraft, and for a brush painted silver finish and camouflage, the result is not bad at all. Another great submission. Next up is a little pea shooter, once again in 72nd scale, also made by Revell. Some nice work has been done on the rigging for this kit. Following the pea shooter, Rorex submitted this gorgeous P61 Black Widow, a truly unique aircraft. Definitely continuing the theme of rare and obscure builds in this GB. I really like the paintwork on this one, it's come out very nicely on the whole. A nice little Seafire now in 172 scale, again made by Revell, and Rorex has once again made use of custom decals for this build. I'm loving the resourcefulness. Bringing back that lovely dual blue tone is this fantastic Seahawk, complete on display with a nice diorama backdrop. Really liking the paintwork on this one, very sharp. Now for a squadron of 4 P40s that Rorex is counting as one submission. The P40 is such a lovely aircraft, and Rorex has really nicely recreated 4 of them in a 172 scale squadron. Lovely stuff. Finally, for Rorex's non-competition entries, we have this lovely HE Val. This yellow multi-tone colour scheme is really striking and makes the aircraft stand out for sure. A very good model to end Rorex's current group of submissions on. Next up is yet another P40, this time made by Staff Sergeant Nuts and making use of the 172 Airfix kit. A very attractive build overall, and I'm particularly a fan of those decals. They seem to have conformed really nicely, copying the panel lines beneath near perfectly. Overall, really nice work on this one. And finally, to round off the non-competition section, another Corsair, again in 172 scale. This submission was sent through to us by Stand Redox, and it's definitely a nice one to end the section on. The chipping work on this one is excellent, and overall it's a very nice build. So, with the non-competition section complete, let's shift over to the competition entries. These following builds are in no particular order until we reach the roundup of winners, so let's get straight into them. This might come as a shocker, but this first submission is another P40, and you guessed it, in 172 scale. Jokes aside though, this submission from Cozy Bun is very nice indeed and shows off the P40 in all of its glory. Excellent to see. Thanks very much for submitting. The next submission is very unique, being one of the few dioramas submitted to the group build. Built by Ewan Cronin 15, this diorama depicts a beautiful B25/PBJ-1H, alongside various mechanics, airmen and a Willys Jeep. The ground textures featured in the diorama really help to tie it all together, and I'm a big fan. Another fantastic submission. Revisiting 700th scale again now with Jake's submission, a beautiful USS Indianapolis. This build has been really nicely painted up, and I love the subtle weathering effects hinting towards rust and streaking in some areas. Very nice build, I like it a lot, keep it up. Now for a couple of submissions from Joso. First up here is this fantastic P47 in 172 scale, painted up in some very nice and unique markings. The paint job on this model seems to be of a very nice quality, and overall the finish is very clean and presentable. Nice work here. Joso's second submission was a little smaller, being a P26P shooter. Again in 172 scale, this build features US AAF markings and a very nice rigging job to go along with it. The same nicely painted camouflage can be seen here as well. A couple of excellent submissions there, thanks very much for taking part in the group build. Next up is our second ship of the GB, this time it's the USS Missouri, submitted by Lego Lover 64. The paint job on this build is absolutely superb, with all the little details picked out immaculately. I absolutely love this, and it is definitely an iconic subject. Lovely display stand there as well. Very nice submission overall. Straight onto an aircraft carrier now, built by Marmalade. This is a lovely representation of the USS Hornet CV-8. There's some really nice colour modulation featured on the hull of this model, and the B-25 taking off from the deck is a really nice little Easter egg. An absolutely wonderful model yet again. Thanks very much for submitting. Featuring a stunning metallic paint job, this A5M4 Claude submitted by Muggins is quite the stunner. The weathering added to the model really brings out the details, though it's not overdone at all, it's just right. The quality of the red paint sprayed on the tail of the aircraft is also really nicely done. A perfect combo with its metallic overalls. A fantastic submission. Muggins also submitted this absolutely wonderful representation of a D4Y2 Judy, a very unique aircraft, again in that dark green camouflage that I love. The paint job is very clean and immaculate, and overall the appearance of the build is top notch. Thank you very much for your submissions, Muggins. Up next is Nicadair's lovely P39 Air Cobra, one of the two aircraft that they have submitted to the GB. This is a fantastic looking build, and I particularly like the inclusion of the open cockpit door, as it really puts into perspective how unique the aircraft is. A fantastic build. It's another P40, this time in 1/48 scale. Nicadair has done a really nice job on this very nice kit from Otaki Plastic, a brand I had not heard of before. Despite this, it seems to be of a very high quality with full rivet details included. The paint finish laid down on the model complements it very nicely too. Well, that's two fantastic builds from Nicadair. This next submission, coming from Official Model Workshop, features Airfix's 172 scale Dakota in beautiful Pacific markings. The finish on this build is excellent, and it's very smart, neat and tidy overall. The open fuselage doors add a nice bit of interest as well. So overall, a great submission, and many thanks for sending it in. These next two builds are Rawrex's competition entries. Yep, that makes it 13 entries in total. Absolutely crazy numbers, but fantastic stuff. First up is this beautiful Dauntless. The tonal variation and weathering featured on this build are actually really nice indeed, and the aerial lines are a really nice addition. This is definitely one of your best builds, Rawrex, a fantastic model. The second competition build submitted by Rawrex was this Catalina, complete with some very nice engine exhaust weathering effects and an immaculate paint job. So good in fact that it could be passed as airbrushed. Overall, yet another fantastic submission, and that rounds up Rawrex's GB entries. Thanks so much for all of your amazing submissions and hard work. It's greatly appreciated. This next build, a Mark II Hellcat built by Roy, really is a nice one. The paint job is very nice and crisp indeed, and the zinc chromate coloured chipping is a very nice detail that adds a spot of realism instead of the usual aluminium chipping that you see. Overall, I'm a big fan of this build, so very nice work. It's another Corsair, yet another beautiful representation of this aircraft, this time built and submitted by Scale Modelling Magic. The paintwork on this one is pristine, and the colours are really nice and rich, very nice stuff. This was the first of 4 submissions that Modelling Magic sent out to us. Their second submission was this fantastic battle damage P40, again making use of the Airfix kit in 172 scale. I'm loving the bullet penetration effects on this one, it really looks very good. A fantastic build overall. Unfortunately, we only have one image of this next submission, though it shows it pretty clearly. It's a fantastic little diorama featuring the USS Arizona on some very nicely done water effects. It's a very nice little scene, and overall I think it's come together brilliantly. Finally, from Scale Modelling Magic is this 72nd Scale 0, again featuring the folded wingtips that help to distinguish the build from others. This model has been painted up, decaled and weathered really nicely overall, so it's a sweet little build. Well, those are 4 excellent submissions, thanks so much. The final submission that we'll take a look at before our winners is this F4F4 by Stand Redox in 172 scale. Redox has made use of a very inventive way of picking out the panel lines on this model, and it's actually come out pretty nicely. It sort of adds a nice chipped effect to the model. Alongside some nice paintwork, all in all it's a great build. So, before we kick off with the winners and runners-up of the community voting and moderator judging, I'd like to very quickly say a few words of thanks. Firstly, to all that have submitted builds up to this point in the video. The response we received from this group build was overwhelmingly positive, so thank you all so much for taking part and building together for this one. I'd like to also say a massive thank you to both Aidan and Aaron over on my Discord, who essentially run the group builds on behalf of my lazy self. But jokes aside, their assistance is invaluable, so a massive thanks goes out to them. Last of all, I'd just like to say a big thanks to all of my channel members here on YouTube. Your continued support is genuinely what keeps the channel running, and I really can't thank you enough. If you'd like to find out more about what being a channel member entails, feel free to hit the join button down below for more info. So, with all that out of the way, let's kick off with the winner of the community vote. Sitting with a strong lead and a stunningly unique submission, the winner of the community vote was Beaver Chicken with his absolutely fantastic G8N Rita. Everything about this build is stunning, so it's no surprise it won the community vote. Aside from the gorgeous orange colour scheme, the paint job is flawless, decals are amazing, paint masks work out beautifully. All in all, a breathtaking build. Congratulations Beaver Chicken, you deserve it. Now for the runners-up and winner of the moderator judging section. These are all incredible builds, so we had a really tough time deciding on a winner, along with the runners-up. So without further ado, let's unveil them. So in joint third place, it's a stunning KI-84 by Plain Guy, along with an amazing P40 built by Spartacus Rye aka James. Plain Guy's KI-84 is an all-round fantastic build featuring some absolutely amazing chipped aluminium effects. These really worked out amazingly. The vibrant colours on this model also help it to really pop. This is an absolutely amazing result, you should be really pleased. James's P40 is also a textbook build and then some. The paint job is flawless and those gun smoke streaks really emphasise the build's appearance. White is also a notoriously hard colour to spray, so the result he has achieved here is outstanding. Those were 2 absolutely incredible builds coming in at joint third, so congratulations to the both of you. Now for second place. Fractionally ahead of both third place builds, it's a submission from James yet again, this time a B25 in Doolittle Raid colours. Aaron, Aidan and myself really appreciated this build in particular, as the engine smoke is spot on and the paint job is as smooth and tidy as ever. There's also a really nice small amount of chipping around certain areas, which is a beautiful touch. Fantastic stuff here, James, you deserve the second place spot with this build. Now there's just one more build for us to see, the build that ranked first place in the competition section. I just want to quickly reiterate how amazing the rest of the submissions in the GB were, so don't be disheartened if you didn't get into the top 3 places, you all did amazingly. So, without further ado, let's reveal the winner. In first place, scoring 21.5 out of 25 points, it's Schnell with his beautiful 1/48th scale P40 Warhawk. This build is absolutely breathtaking. The colour modulation seen on the surface is on point, and the paint job itself is as smooth as ever. The exhaust smoke appears to be airbrushed, and it's come out superbly well. Everything about this build just seems incredible. A huge congrats for getting into the first place spot, Schnell. You've really earned it. Well, that pretty much concludes this video on the Modelling Weekly Community Discord Pacific group build. I really do hope you have enjoyed seeing all of these amazing builds, as we really enjoyed taking a look at them ourselves. A huge thanks yet again goes out to all that took part, as without the enthusiasm we received, the GB wouldn't have been nearly as successful. Thanks yet again to Aidan and Aaron for your outstanding contributions to the group build's structure and management. I definitely couldn't have done it without you. Well, that wraps this video up. Make sure to comment your favourite build down below and to leave a like if you enjoyed. I hope to see you around here next time. Bye!